You're not doing anything wrong. You're feeding them, holding them, losing sleep for them, rearranging your entire life around them. And still, somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a question you can't quite shake. Is there something I'm missing? Something happening inside my baby that I don't fully understand? The answer is yes. And what's happening is more extraordinary than most parents ever get to hear. Your baby's brain, from the very first hours outside the womb, is running a process so sophisticated that neuroscientists are still mapping its full scope. Every interaction, every sound, every moment of eye contact or absence of it, every tone of voice, every touch, every second you spend distracted, and every second you spend fully present, your baby is recording all of it. Not in words, not in memories they'll be able to recall at age 10, but in something far more durable than memory. They're recording it in the architecture of the brain itself. The neural connections forming right now, in the days and weeks and months of your baby's first year, are being shaped by the specific experiences your baby is having with you. This is what developmental neuroscientists call experience-dependent development. The brain doesn't arrive fully formed. It arrives expectant. It waits for input from the world around it, and the most important world it's watching is you. If this is already shifting something in you, hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps. And drop a comment telling me how old your little one is right now. I love knowing who I'm talking to. So let's get into the 10 things. The everyday moments, the ones no one ever flags as significant, that your baby is quietly storing as the foundational code of who they will become. The first one is something so ordinary that it almost seems absurd to call it formative. It's the moment you don't come. Your baby cries. You're exhausted, or you're in the middle of something, or someone told you that waiting builds independence. So you wait. A few minutes, maybe longer, and your baby's cry goes unanswered. What you don't see, because you can't see it, is what's happening inside your baby during those minutes of silence. Their stress hormone, cortisol, spikes. Their nervous system, which has no capacity to self-soothe at this age, runs the only program it has. Escalate the signal. Send more distress. Because someone needs to come. Dr. Alan Shore's research on early brain development makes this clear. When a caregiver responds consistently to an infant's distress, the baby's nervous system learns something it will carry for decades. Help comes. The world is safe. I matter enough to be heard. When that response is repeatedly delayed or absent, a different pattern gets wired, and rewiring it later is possible, but it is never easy. One missed response doesn't do this. Life is not that fragile, and neither is your baby. But the pattern, over days and weeks and months, is what shapes the brain. The pattern is what your baby is recording. The second thing is the one almost no parent notices because it happens in the voice, not the words. You've had a hard day. You're holding your baby and saying something perfectly kind, "I'm here, it's okay, I've got you." But your voice is tight. There's tension running underneath the words, a kind of acoustic static that your baby, even at 3 months old, is reading with startling accuracy. Babies are tuned to what researchers call vocal prosody, the emotional texture of sound, before they are born. By 6 months, a baby can detect the difference between a calm voice and a stressed one, and their nervous system doesn't just register the difference intellectually. It responds physiologically. Studies measuring cortisol and heart rate in infants found measurable stress responses when babies overheard adult arguments, even while they were asleep. Your baby doesn't hear your words yet. They feel your voice. And a tense voice, regardless of the loving sentence it's carrying, tells a baby's nervous system one thing: the person I depend on for everything is not okay, which means I might not be safe. This isn't about performing calm you don't feel. It's about understanding that one slow breath before you pick up your baby, just one, can shift your nervous system just enough to change the signal your baby receives. The third thing parents almost never recognize as a harm is one of the most socially acceptable moments in all of parenting: forcing your baby to interact with someone they don't want to engage with. You know the scene. A relative leans in close, enthusiastic, loud. Your baby turns away, looks down, maybe stiffens, and the adult says, "Oh, come on, look at me," with nothing but warmth in their voice. And you, not wanting to seem rude, let it continue. What your baby is doing in that moment of looking away is not shyness, it's communication. Gaze aversion is a regulatory strategy, one of the only tools a baby has to say, "This is too much right now, I need a moment." When that signal is overridden, repeatedly, something gets stored in the body, not as a named memory, but as a felt understanding. My attempts to set a limit will be ignored by the people I trust to protect me. Patterns matter far more than single incidents. One enthusiastic grandparent does not shape a child's sense of agency, but a consistent experience of having their signals disregarded, their no in whatever form they can express it quietly dismissed, does. The fourth thing is the one I want you to sit with, because you have almost certainly done this today, and you have almost certainly heard it done to you when you were small. Your baby is upset, really upset. And you say you're okay, you're fine. You mean it kindly, you mean it to soothe. But your baby's brain, which has exactly zero capacity for self-regulation at this stage, receives something different from those words. Their emotional brain is activated, distress signals are firing, and the message coming back from the person they need most is that what they are experiencing isn't real, or isn't worth responding to, or should be resolved without help. The capacity for emotional self-regulation lives in the prefrontal cortex, a region that won't reach full development until your child is in their mid-20s. What babies have instead is co-regulation. They borrow your nervous system to come back down from distress. You are the scaffold. And when you tell them they're fine before you've acknowledged that they're not, you've pulled the scaffold away before they had anything to stand on. You don't have to fix the feeling, you just have to name it. That's crying. I see you. That was frustrating. That small act of accurate reflection is, according to decades of research on emotional attunement, one of the most powerful things you can do for your baby's long-term emotional health. Not because it solves the problem, but because it confirms that their inner world is real and worth acknowledging. The fifth thing your baby is recording is happening right now in millions of homes, and almost no one talks about it the way the science demands. It's your face when you're on your phone, not the phone itself, the face. When you scroll, truly absorbed, your expression goes still, responsive drops away, and your baby, who is scanning your face dozens of times per minute for information about whether the world is safe, sees what researchers in Edward Tronick's still face experiments documented decades ago. A blank, unresponsive face triggers measurable physiological distress in infants. Heart rate changes, cortisol rises. Babies use every social tool they have, smiling, reaching, vocalizing, to pull a response from a face that has gone quiet. When nothing works, they collapse inward. Your face is your baby's primary emotional mirror. When it goes dark, even briefly, even repeatedly across an ordinary day, the baby records something they have no language for yet. The person I need most sometimes disappears while still being right in front of me. If you're finding value in this, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I upload new videos every week, and I'd hate for you to miss one. Your support is what makes this channel possible, and it genuinely means the world to me. The sixth thing is overstimulation, and the reason it matters is not what most parents expect. A newborn's nervous system can process a fraction of what an adult takes for granted. The television on in the background, two conversations happening at once, a brightly lit room with contrasting colors and movement. This registers to an immature nervous system not as normal, but as overwhelming. The signs babies show when they've had too much are almost always misread. They arch their backs, they look away, they go glassy, they cry, and the parental instinct, which comes from love, is to try more. More rocking, more talking, more stimulation to distract and soothe. An overstimulated baby needs the opposite. Quiet, dimness, stillness, a regulated nervous system close to theirs. The seventh thing is the quietest one on this list, and the Harvard Center on the Developing Child calls it the single most important interaction in early development. It's what happens when your baby looks at something and you look too. Serve and return, as researchers describe it, is the back-and-forth exchange where a baby does something, makes a sound, points, reaches, stares with sudden focused curiosity, and the caregiver notices and responds. Oh, you see that? That's the light coming through the curtain. The baby doesn't need to understand the words. What they need is the response, the confirmation that what they noticed was worth noticing, that their curiosity has value, that the world responds when they reach toward it. Every one of those exchanges builds neural connections in the prefrontal cortex at a rate that simply does not happen without them. Language, emotional intelligence, executive function, the ability to focus and to care about things, all of it grows in the soil of these small, constant, unhurried moments of shared attention. When a baby reaches and no one looks, when a baby vocalizes and gets no reply, when curiosity meets silence, the pathways that were ready to form simply don't. The brain moves on. The window, while not permanently closed, becomes narrow. The eighth thing your baby records is the moment you leave without saying goodbye. Someone told you it was easier. Sneak out while they're distracted. Avoid the crying. Skip the drama. And it makes a certain kind of logic, the kind that holds up until you understand what your baby's nervous system experiences in that moment. They're playing content, and then the person whose heartbeat they have known since before they had words for anything is simply gone. No warning, no transition, no goodbye, just absence where there was presence. To a baby's nervous system, this is not a small surprise. The research on predictable versus unpredictable separation is consistent. Babies who experience reliable, acknowledged goodbyes, even when those goodbyes involve crying, develop more secure attachment over time than babies whose caregivers regularly vanish without signal. The crying at a visible goodbye is not distress building, it is distress releasing. Those are not the same thing. What's sneaking out records in your baby is something harder. The people I love can disappear without warning, which means I cannot fully relax. I have to stay watchful. The ninth thing is so quiet it barely feels like anything. And that is exactly why it matters. Touch is not a comfort feature for babies. It is a biological requirement. When your baby is held, oxytocin releases in both of you. Cortisol drops. The vagus nerve, the primary conductor of the parasympathetic nervous system, activates and signals safety throughout the body. All of this happens through skin contact. What often goes unnoticed is that it's not only about picking them up when they cry, it's the incidental touch across the whole day, a hand resting on their back while they play, your cheek against their head while you carry them past the window, the warmth of simply being close. These micro moments are a continuous message the body sends and receives. You are here, you are safe, you are not alone. Babies in loving homes who experience chronically low physical contact show measurably higher baseline cortisol levels. Their nervous systems run a low-grade stress response, not because anything is wrong, not because they aren't loved, but because one of the body's primary signals of safety is consistently absent. The 10th thing is the one most rarely named, and it may be the most important on this list. It is parental emotional unavailability. Not absence, not neglect in any form you would recognize. The parent who is physically present, who does everything right on the outside, but who is internally somewhere else, grieving, depressed, anxious, disassociated, running on a system so depleted that the body is in the room, but the self is not. Babies do not just receive your actions, they receive your state. The research on parental depression, specifically, shows that infants of depressed mothers, even mothers performing every act of caregiving with care and consistency, showed disrupted attachment patterns and altered development in the brain regions responsible for emotion and stress regulation. The baby's system was looking for an emotional signal and finding static. This is not said to add weight to what you're already carrying. It is said because the most extraordinary thing you can give your baby is not a toy, not a program, not a perfectly optimized routine. It is a regulated version of you, a parent who gets support, who pauses to breathe, who does the small, unglamorous work of tending to their own nervous system. Because when your system settles, the baby in your arms feels it. The room changes, the signal changes. And that is the thing worth sitting with at the end of all 10 of these. Your baby is not recording your perfection. They are recording your presence. The repair after the rupture, the return after the distance, the moment you put the phone down and look, the moment you take a breath and soften your voice, the moment you say, I see you, instead of you're fine. W.D. Winnicott, who spent his career studying the earliest bonds between parents and children, called it the good enough parent, not the perfect one. The one who misses and then notices the miss, who disconnects and then comes back, who keeps choosing to return. The moments of disconnection do not shape your baby, the return does. So the next time your baby looks at you, that wide, unguarded, searching gaze that only the very young can give, know what is actually happening. They are not just looking, they are reading. They are learning what the world is made of. They are deciding, in the only language available to them, whether it is safe to love someone completely. And every time you show up, imperfect and tired and trying, you are answering that question. Thank you so much for being here. Until the very end, it means everything. If this video changed how you see your baby even a little, please share it with another parent who needs to hear it. Check out the videos on your screen now. I think you'll love them. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.